It's a little bit crazy. You're suddenly blurry now. I wonder if anything was real. All our history's hazy, like driving in the pouring rain. Are we in too deep to heal? You tell me that you're sorry, we'll make up tomorrow. Tell me everything you know I wanna hear. I'm trying to be open, but that window is closing. And either way, I need to make it clear before we're leaving here. Before we're leaving here.
I know it ain't easy, but there's something left to hold on to. We can work it through, you don't have to go. There's a future here with me. We'll find the light in a clouded room. Not giving up until you know.
You tell me that you're sorry, we'll make up tomorrow. Tell me everything you know I wanna hear. I'm trying to be open, but that window is closing. And either way, I need to make it clear before we're leaving here. Either way, I need to make it clear before we're leaving here.
Yeah, shalom everyone, shalom. I want to welcome everyone to the house of the Lost Sheep of Israel. And today we're going to be going through the book of Hebrews, as well as we will be heading to the back to get the summary of it. But I just want to make sure each and every one of us, if you just take the time, and even when you see the beginning of this lesson, turn the music off and just look at the images of our people. That should change your entire world. And you'll know where my desire comes from. You'll know where my fire is. For the simple fact that Nowhere in the world. I'm going to do what I can. Because the only way they can get out of the predicament that they're in, they have to be educated. And educated in what is required of the God of Israel. So people will sit there, and some of us lack and some of us kind of sit back. But I need to do everything that I can do that's within the power that he gives me to make sure that each and every person that he sends my way, to where they're going to find out what thus said the Lord and know what's required of them, to where they can be one of the ones that he's looking for. And that is where my fire is. That is my desire to each and every one of you guys. So sometimes I know we get in certain areas, and can be a little bit difficult sometimes in the back and difficult sometimes even in the front. But that's my desire. That's what I'm looking for, to make sure that you know what's required of you in these last days. So the same is what we're looking at with Hebrews. We're looking at the book of Hebrews, and we in chapter 3, picking it up at verse 6. But what we want to do is still understand what's required of us. And we're getting all these different looks on what's being told to us and what's being required of us. So this isn't a place where you come to get a sugar coat or watered down what they want to say message. You want to get over here what's required of you, whether you like it or not. But you will be put on a level playing field to know what's required of you by God. Here, that's the only thing we can give you here. It's nothing more we can give you. It's nothing more we can take away but your time for you to learn. So we're going to look at this, and we're going to get into what he's talking about. And I want you to look at this in Hebrews. And make sure that you have your pencils and papers ready, because also when we go in the back, we're going to get the summary of a lot of this and find out a few more things. But I want you to look at Hebrews chapter 3, and we're going to look at verse 6. And we're going to get a good understanding of something. So when you look at this, it says this. And we're looking at the first block. It says, but Christ as a son over his own house. He's coming out, and we got to work that piece out, because it's saying, but Christ compared as a servant over his own house, whose house are we, if we hold fast in confidence and rejoicing. So we want to understand this, because we hold fast in confidence and rejoicing in the hope firm until the end. We need to really pay attention and find out exactly what it's talking about. In Hebrews, it gets a lot of complications we run into, as well as it gets into a lot of things we really need to focus on. So I'm going to have you write down in your notes. I want you to write down something for me. Do me a favor. I want you to write right next to, at the top of your paper. If you had a Hebrews and Proverbs book, I want you to write the top of this part. I want you to put, boasting over self. That's what I want you to put there. Boasting over self. Because we're going to find out some things why he said what he's saying there. And when we look at this, it's saying, but Christ as a son over his own house. We need to find out exactly what he's talking about, because if we find out something, and if we are servants over our own house, most of us will boast about it. We'll boast about a lot of stuff, and we're going to see exactly what he's saying. It's not saying a message which is going to take you off. This is what he actually is telling us right here, and why he did what he did. We need to focus on self-boasting for things we seek to try to accomplish for ourselves. Because when we accomplish something based on flesh. So we boast over any and everything, and this is why God will not accept works of flesh anyway. Because if it was based on us, everybody will be boasting on flesh. I want you to think about that as we go through here, because it's using such things in believing they have the right to be in the kingdom once they have accomplished certain things according to flesh. Let's understand this all together. In Psalms chapter 94, we're going to look at verse 3. These are keys. And it's telling you, Spirit of God, how long shall the wicked triumph? I'm telling you, right out the bat. Right out the bat. Yeah, so we want to, 1 second. So we want to get the better understanding of what's going on there. So as we see this here, we understand a few things here, but he's going to say a couple of other things on what we need to know. Because when we get to verse 4, he's going to make some things really perfectly clear for us. Verse 4, it says, how long shall they utter, including speak hard things, and all the workers of iniquity of the acts of sin boast themselves? We're going to get to something in 1 second. Because all wickedness, people boast over things. See, and we have even men and women, we boast over some stupid things sometimes. And I want you to personally think about this, and why I'm saying that, why I made you at the top put there boasting over self, because we have some men, some women, they are boast over adulterous of affairs. Men. You have men, married men, boasting over adulterous affairs. I'm only pausing for we will boast over this stuff. You having men will boast over fornication. We will boast over things we're able to cheat people out of. We'll boast over these things. This is our problem. Boasting over self. So now we boasting so much in flesh. When we stand before God, we'll try to go in based on what we accomplish in flesh. This is why it said, but Christ as the servant over his own house. I'm telling you, we can't get out our own way. Let's dig a little bit more. Let's look at Galatians chapter 6. We're going to pick it up at verse 13. It says, for neither they themselves who are circumcised, because many of us are just circumcised according to the flesh, keep the law, but desire to have you circumcised, that they may glory in your flesh. What? This is what stuff we do. This is stuff we do. Not being circumcised in the flesh. just because you're circumcised in the flesh, don't make you circumcised in the heart. But you'll boast on it. You'll boast on this stuff. Keeping the laws of the covenant of God is what we're supposed to be doing. We say, give God this, and we like to say, give God that. So when you go to a building, they say, hey, okay, you done cheated God. So if you cheated God, you need to give God what's required of him. And the first thing they want you to do is go right in your pocket and give them some money that's going in their pocket, because God don't have no bank sitting down here on heaven. Not down here. Oh no, because we can't go to heaven, even if we don't even know if God have a bank. We don't even know these things. But we'll sit there and demand that you need to give us some money because we cheating God. And then as much money as they give, and they build bigger buildings, and as we do these things, the first thing we want to do is boast in the flesh, telling people how many people we done saved. Can't get out of our own way. See, overlooking. So we overlooked altogether what Yahushua, or some people going to say what Jesus did, altogether. Because one that could not even boast over himself, being made a servant to himself. It's telling you this right there. We can look at it right there. But Christ, as a son over his own house, so he can't boast. I want you to get this one. See, this is how this works. So only when you're doing things according to the flesh is when you're going to sit there and you're going to boast on things that you done did in the flesh. We go over here and look at Psalms. We're going to look at chapter 10, verse 2. Chapter 10, and we're going to pick it up at verse 2. It's saying this: the wicked in his pride doeth persecute the poor. Wicked in his pride doeth persecute the poor. Why? He going to boast. He like to tell people, oh, I got this. You don't have that. I got money, you broke. Boasting, persecuting poor. Oh, I done went to this college, I done went to that college, and you haven't even finished high school. Boasting over flesh. You got a bad habit of doing that. Persecuting poor, based on simple, silly thoughts that we done did, and thinking we have did more than what others have done. We had people when in the old times, our forefathers, many of them couldn't even go to school. And then you have people who went to school, who was able to go to school based on whatever happened. And once they get there, now they looking back on the ones who couldn't go and they was poor. And the first thing we do is persecute them and boast over. Think you have a right to do what you want to do. Oh, people don't like it. People don't like it when you sit there and talk about this Martin Luther King guy. But he did the same thing. He boasted over flesh. He sat there, and you can look at many speeches he has done, and he told people that people who had no education and did not go to college, they should not even have children. Boasting over flesh. Boasting over flesh. So we look at this, and it's telling you, it's saying, let them be taken in the devices that they have imagined. But why? But why? We need to ask the question, why? And he's going to say, for the wicked boast. Oh, really? We asked the question, and he immediately answered it in the third verse. The wicked boast of his heart desire. The wicked boast of his heart desire. And blessed the covetous, whom the Spirit of God abhorreth. It means the Spirit of God hate. Are you with me? This is why we have the issues we have today. This is why Christ is saying he was a servant over his own house. And we're going to find out why as we picking up these keys and getting everything we need to get. So when we hit this main part, we're going to all know what was being said the entire time. Let's look at something. We're going to look at something. Let's go down and we're going to move over a little bit. We're going to pick up another key. We need to pick up another key. Let's go over here to John. We want to pick up John. We want chapter 5. And we're going to mosey down to verse 31. We're going to mosey down there and see what John penned. And it says this. Because as he said over here, that but Christ as a son over his own body could not boast. So if he's doing that, he can't boast on himself because he's going to make it clear over here in 31. It says, if provided I bear witness of myself, my witness is not true. If I boast of myself, my witness ain't true. Period. Christ's desire was for us to live to try to achieve eternal life. So he said, if I come here and not bear witness of myself, then my witness is not true. And this is what we do. We quick to do these things. In verse 4 in chapter 10 in Psalms, it says this. It says this in verse 10. And we're going to look at verse 4 as what he says. He says, the wicked through the pride of his countenance will not seek after God. I'm only pausing for effect. It says, God is not in all his thoughts. He's looking at how he look. Boy, I look good today. Ooh, boy. How many of us do? Look on Facebook and see how many women taking selfies, men taking selfies. People, and then you got people putting the heart, wow. Boasting without boasting of themselves, and they just say, I'm going to show you how I look so you can boast for me on how I look. That's wickedness. Christ was a servant over his own body, so he could not boast. So the deeds that he did, he couldn't boast on. In fact, actually, let's look at verse 5. His ways are always grievous. Who? The boasters. Thy doctrines and teachings are far above out of his sight. As for his enemies, he puffed at them. I'm telling you, we can't get out our own way. The thoughts of flesh are always according to nothing no good. The thoughts of flesh is always according to something that is no good whatsoever. Actually, let's go over here. Let's pick up a little bit more. Let's go down here to 2 Timothy. We want to look at 2 Timothy. And we're going to pick this up in chapter 3. We're going to park at verse 1. Chapter 3, verse 1, it says, this know also that in the last days perilous times shall come. For men shall be lovers of their own selves. We can't get out our own way. We can't move out our own way. But he got more here. We're going to be lovers of our own self, covetous, boasters, proud, blasphemer, disobedient to parents, unthankful, unholy. And the first thing we want to do is sit there and say, you can go to all these many people dying every year, and every time you go to any funeral, the first thing they say, he or she is looking down on us right now from heaven. If hell gonna be up in heaven, then that's somewhere we don't need to be. Without natural afflictions, truth breakers, false accusers. Tell me about it. Incontent, fearser, despiser of those that are good. Traitors. Heady, high-minded, lovers and pleasures, more than lovers of God. Are we serious? Having a form of godliness, denying the power thereof, from such turn away. From such turn away. And it's telling you right up front, having a form of godly, having an appearance, having a figure of godliness, from such get from away from them. You had one who was so high-minded, he was so boastful, and God had given him something and put into his hand, and he got so puffed up, he sat right there and told look what I done. Actually, let's look at this. I want to show you what I'm talking about. We ain't gonna show it, but we're gonna look at this. I want to show you exactly what's going on. We're gonna go over here to Daniel. We're gonna go to Daniel. We're gonna go to chapter 4. Pick it up at verse 30. Why? I'm gonna show you something about Nebuchadnezzar. I'm gonna show you something about Nebuchadnezzar on what he did. Nebuchadnezzar, chapter 4, verse 30. He said this right out of his own mouth. And what he did right here. Now, we're going to start at verse 28 just to pick up a little bit of context. And it says, all this came upon the king Nebuchadnezzar at the end of 12 months. He walked in the palace of the kingdom of Babylon. Verse 30 is what we're going to focus on. The king spake and said, is it not this great Babylon that I have built for the house of the kingdom, that by my might of my power, including for the honor of my majesty? And you go read Daniel chapter 1 and start reading now, you'll see God gave the kingdom over to him. That's why it was ripped from him. That's why it was ripped right out of his hands. This is the problem we have all day long. This is why we can't sit there, and we got to learn to what we need to make sure we're doing. We can't help ourselves. See, many of us, what we like to do is sit at many different things. We like to look at many different things and get into many different places. This is what we do. This is what we do. So I want to show you, let's go back over here to Psalms. We're going to look at verse 6. I want to show you something. We're going to go to Psalms chapter 10. We're going to look at verse 6. It's right over here. It says, he has said in his heart, it shall not be moved, for I shall never be in adversity. The man lying after his own heart. a man lion after his own heart. Many of us, we will never be in adversity. We say, never. We take enemy to a new level of enemy, and we call enemy an enemy. We done took it to a whole new level. We done took the enemy that we saying we'll never be in adversity, and we done made enemy an enemy. All boasting of self. So even Christ was a servant to his own body, making our bodies to be a servant to the voice of God. Are you with me? Because this is what we have to do. So if we have to be a servant to the voice of God, now we have to mortify our bodies with the spirit of... Actually, we're going to tell you what, let's do this. Let's do something. Let me show you where I'm coming from. We're going to go to John chapter 4. We're going to look at verse 24. John chapter 4, verse 24. We're going to look at it and we're going to look at it all together. It says, God is a spirit, including they that worship him must worship him in spirit and in truth. Now, we have to do this. So what we have to do, we have to mortify our bodies, because the spirit don't want nothing that is contained within the body. We have to mortify it. Be a servant of the spirit. In fact, we do this and we do it right. We do it correctly. We can work a lot of things a lot of ways. In Romans chapter 8, and we're looking at verse 13, he helps us. It says, for if we live after the flesh, you're doing the works of the flesh. You're doing the, I'm going to go have 2 or 3 adulterous affairs, and then you thinking you're going to walk in the kingdom of God. You're crazy. You're going out there fornicating, and you thinking you're going to walk in the kingdom of God. You're crazy. You think that you blaspheming, you being covetous, you being boastful and proud, and you think you're going to go into the kingdom. You're crazy. If you living after the flesh, ye shall die. Ye gonna die. But if you through the spirit do mortify the deeds, do mortify the works of the body, you gonna live. But many of us will sit there and act like we can't do that. We can't do a lot of this stuff. We need to be partakers of that heavenly calling, of the message that God has given us. We need to be partakers in that. So as with Christ, same thing with Christ. So we can't get this out of there, because he's telling you, it says, but Christ, however, Christ, as a servant over his own house, we need to pay attention to that heavenly calling and consider the message that was given to us, because it says this. And when you look back over here and you go over to verse 3, I want you to look at verse 3. It says, for this man was counted worthy of more glory than Moses, inasmuch as he who had built the house had more honor than the house. What? I'll read it again. Inasmuch he who had built the house had more honor than the house. He built the house, had more honor than the house. I don't get this. It's simple to get. He who built the house has more honor than the house. So it tells you. But Christ was a servant of his own body. It just told it to you right there. It just told you the little catchphrase that's put there. So we have to be counted more glorious than what the body is. He was a servant over his own body, and he came into the world. So when he came into this world, he said something. When that word and that calling come to you, you need to be obedient to that heavenly calling. You need to be obedient to that heavenly calling that came to you. And if we're obedient to that heavenly calling, it says, wherefore in Hebrews chapter 10, verse 5, wherefore, Hebrews chapter 10, verse 5, it says this, wherefore, when he cometh into the world, he saith, sacrifice and offering thou wouldest not, but a body thou hast prepared me. For me can come in and I can kick back and I can rest in there. So seeing now our bodies are living sacrifices. I want you to understand this. So now our bodies are living sacrifices. The sacrifices to God, are they dead? No, not dead. They mortified. So are they dead? No, they mortified. So we have to sit there and sacrifice a body to God. And he said, you sacrifice this unto me. And they're going to be living sacrifices to where I can put my voice in them. Let's look at this all together. 1 Corinthians chapter 3, picking up at verse 16, tells us all clearly what is going on. It says, ye know not, you don't know this? Ye know not that ye are the temple of God, and that the Spirit of God dwelleth in you? So when you sitting there, he's saying, you prepare a body for him, holy, acceptable unto God, which is your reasonable service. Did you know that that's the temple of God? And you out there going to boast by sleeping with a bunch of women, by sleeping with a bunch of men, covetous, boasters, truth breakers. I'm telling you, we can't get out of our own way on this. So Christ, in our bodies, we presenting to him are dead. And if we sit there in his dwell, and then he can wash us in the burial of the flesh. People say, I don't get that. We're going to get it in 1 minute. We're going to get it in a minute. Christ, we have to present these bodies to him are dead because they got to be mortified and washed for the burial of the flesh. It's not complex. Let's look at this all together. Let's go to something. Let's go somewhere here. Let's go to Sirach. And we can pick up some pretty good information here to help us out. We're going to look at Sirach, and we're going to go down into there and pick up some real good information there. Sirach chapter 34. Sirach 34, we're going to pick it up at verse 35. 34:25 is where we want to go. And it says this here. It says, he that washes himself, I can't help but laugh on it. He that washes himself after the touching of dead body, if he touch it again, what availeth his washings? I'm only pausing for effect. That's it. Nothing more, nothing less. If we wash ourselves and we go back and touch it again, what availeth his washing? And just to make sure we know what availeth is, mean what success you're going to have from washing it again. What success is that in there? What prosperous you going to do in it? What benefit you have in washing it again? That's what it's telling you. And actually, we're going to tell you, let me help us all out. We're going to help us all out because we're going to get this. I promise you, we're going to get this one. We're going to go here to Proverbs. Look at Proverbs chapter 26, and we're going to park right there at verse 11, and it tell you, compare a dog returneth to his vomit, so a fool returneth to his folly. Again, in 25, it says, he that washes himself after the touching of a dead body, if he touch it again, what profiteth his washing? You tell me. You tell me. We can be on Jeopardy. Tell me. Please, tell me what the benefit is. Tell me what was the benefit. None. I know it was none. None. We know it was none. So why did you go back and pick it up? Why did you go back, pick it up, and thinking you can wash it again? As a dog returned to his vomit, so a fool returned to folly. Let's drop down to 26 in Sirach. It says, so is it with a man that fasteth for his sins. Now you're connected to yourself, because this is what you're into. He fasteneth for his sins and goeth again. Exactly what you doing. Endureth the same, who will hear his prayer? boy, y'all can sit there, boy, that was kind of deep there. Who gonna hear his prayer? Boy, that was a heavy one there. Who gonna hear his prayer? Or what doeth his humbling profit him? Let me bring you a little bit closer where the dogs can get it. I'm gonna bring it a little bit closer. Let's say, see, because one thing, even my wife, she'll tell you the same thing. One thing gets really up under my skin when people go, well, if it's the Lord's or if it's God's will. Well, that drives me crazy. I'm going to tell you why. You have the same people who will say this same thing, and they'll sit there, and you got people all over the world say it because you hear it everywhere. Well, the Lord will, we'll do this. The same people will sit there in the morning as they sitting there saying, well, I'm going to meet you over at the mall at 10 o'clock, and they get up in the morning, they're going to make some bacon, some grits and shrimp. But then they saying everything on the morrow is in God's will. And God's will told you to make the bacon. And God's will told you to make the grits and shrimp. In God's will. So where is God's will in the beginning once you reach the destination? Tell me, where was God's will at in the morning? Anyone not doing any of the will of the Father and boasting as one would have folly is based on human merits. God's will. That's one reason why it just irritating. If it's the Lord's will, and the first thing they do is doing everything contrary to what you see in the Bible. So people have a problem with what's going on. But we're going to find out a few things what the Bible is actually trying to tell us. Through the grace of God. It's through the grace of God you can receive salvation. It's through the grace of God. And we got to, most people, I don't know what grace really is. Don't worry, we're going to show you what it is. There ain't no problem. It's no problem. Let's look at something. Let's go over here to Ephesians. Let's educate ourselves. We're going to go to Ephesians and educate ourselves. Ephesians chapter 2. We're going to look at verse 8. So we can educate ourselves. We have a right to educate ourselves. In Ephesians chapter 2, verse 8, it says, for by grace we are saved. By grace we are saved through faith. Not of ourselves. We can't do it ourselves. And it says it is the gift of God. People sitting there saying, so what is a gift? I'm going to tell you what, I'm going to make sure we can't get around nothing. We not getting around nothing today because we need to know what this is. Actually, let me put some more keys there to make sure we can't get around it. Let me put some more keys there to make sure we can't get around it. Let's put some law there. We need to put some law in this. Let me see now why this joker keep doing that. But we're going to hit Numbers chapter 14. We're going to pick it up at verse 18. 14 verse 18. Why? Because we need some law. We need some law to lay it down because he's going to tell you right up front in 14 verse 18. It says, the Spirit of God is long suffering. Understand what he's saying, including of great mercy, forgiving the iniquity, the acts of sin, including transgressions, including by no means clearing the guilty. He ain't clearing you of what you did. He ain't nowhere close cleared you of anything. He's telling you this right here. He ain't cleared you of that. And he goes on more. He says, visiting the acts of sin upon the fathers, upon the children, unto the third and fourth generation. And he ain't cleared you of nothing. It's a gift. So we need to know what that gift is. It's a gift of God. But what is a gift? I want you to write this down now to where we can understand what the gift is. You put gift and you put an equal sign, and gift don't mean nothing but something offered to you. That's a gift. It's offered to you. So the same thing, if someone gave you a gift, it's an offering to you if you're going to take it or not take it. A gift. That's how a gift functions. That's how a gift works. That's the trouble behind people not looking at these functioning of these words, because we need to know them. We like to walk around ignorant. It's an offer from God. That's why I said it's a gift of God. It's an offer of God. And he told us some things. Let's get some more law and find out. He told us some things. We need to look at this. We need to look at this and find out what's going on. But we're going to always try to think we can do these things on our own. In Exodus chapter 19, picking it up at verse 5, it says this, and it's making this clear right here. It says, now, for that reason, for therefore, what he has done for us, took us out of bondage. He said, if providing you obey my voice in works and keep my covenant, ye shall be a peculiar treasure unto me above all people, for all the earth is mine. This is my offer to you. This is a gift to you if you want it. But I ain't going to clear you for doing some idiotic stuff. You're not getting cleared for this stuff. He made that clear. You see it in number. He ain't clearing you for anything. He's giving you an offer to get out the sin business. Actually, let's go over here. Let's go over here. We might well get buried all the way down in the dirt. Because the main thing is we got somebody out there going to still try to boast on themselves. We're going to look at Ezekiel chapter 18 and look at something. In verse 30, it says this. In verse 30, he's penned this, and we're going to see what he's talking about. It says, for that reason, for that reason, I will judge you. I will teach you. O house of Israel, I will teach you. O house of Israel, I will teach you. With my prophets, my teachers, and my elders, they're going to teach you. Everyone according to his ways. Every one of you guys, every one of us that have a jacked up way of doing something, he is going to teach us according to those ways. So when somebody's sitting there saying, boy, Elder John, man, you seem like, dude, you were watching me the past 2 weeks. No, I didn't see you. He seen you, and he just put his words in my mouth, and I just brought them out to tell you what time it is. Oh, Elder John, man, I was asking this and I was doing that, and man, you came right on time. That wasn't me. He put them words in my mouth and they came out and they hit you. Everyone according to his ways, saith the Spirit of God. Remember, repent, and turn yourselves from your transgressions, so your iniquity shall not be your ruins. And he's telling you this for your benefit. I don't have a heaven or hell to put you in. But the one I work for can. You don't pay me. He pays me. So I can tell you what time it is. So these things happen when people sit there and they want to trip out. So these things and these offering, these gifts from God, he's offering you something. He ain't cleared you for anything. He said, I'm going to forgive you. I ain't clearing you of nothing. In fact, let's look at verse 9 in Ephesians. Ephesians chapter 2, verse 9. It says, not of works, not for anything you did. It says, least any man should boast. You ain't boasting on nothing. You got people saying, oh, I'm going to give this, I'm going to do that, I'm going to do this. Oh, the Lord going to be pleased with this. You ain't boasting on nothing. Works of the flesh. He's offering salvation of God is from God and not from anything that you do. And if you're sitting there doing things within yourself, you're going to die in yourself. And you think you're going to live to yourself, you're going to die to self also. If you sitting there and denying what the truth of God is, and many people going to boast thinking they're going to get eternal salvation through self-works, you blind. You blind. You 100% blind. You got a whole lot of people following blind men. Christ even showed he was a servant to the word that was spoken by himself. He could not boast. He can't boast. Why in the world we out there boasting? He's telling you right up front in verse 6, but Christ as a son over his own house, whose house we are. You see, hey, let's look at it. Might well look at it. It says, but Christ was a servant over his whole house. Whose house are we? If we hold fast in confidence and rejoicing in the hope firm unto the end. Clear. Crystal. So we can't boast on nothing. In fact, I want to show you something. In fact, let's look at this. We're going to go to Romans. Let's rock with Paul for a minute. We're going to rock with Paul for a minute. In Romans chapter 14, picking it up at verse 7. It says, for none of us live to himself. None of us live to ourselves. None of us. And he says more, and no man died to himself. Because if you die, where you going? When you die, tell me where you going. You don't know where you're going. You die, well, we're going to tell you what. When I die, I'm going to travel the world. Really? I'm telling you, we can't get out our own way. Dude, when you die, you ask somebody, say, man, when you die, where you going when you die? Tell me. I just like to know. You going to travel the world? Because if they sit there and tell you something, they done told you a lie. Can't no man live or die to himself. And the main thing with that is, so the same thing is when you working with Christ. The same thing as with a husband or a wife. So if you sitting there and you calling yourself and you click to Christ, then you cannot separate yourself from Christ. Cannot do a self-separation. Either you join to a harlot or you're going to be joined to Christ. Actually, let's look at this a little bit closer. let's look at this a little bit closer to where we can get a better understanding on what's going on here. Because some people might be saying, man, this is a hard teaching. No, it's not a hard teaching, just a hard head teaching. This is a hard head teaching for a bunch of hard head people as we are. We're some of the hardest head people that's walking the face of this earth. This is just us. We just like that. But let's look at this. 1 Corinthians chapter 6, verse 16. It says this, and it's clear. It says, when we get to 16, it says, what? What? Know ye not that he which is joined to a harlot is one body? Just because you're joined to it, don't say it's two of y'all. It's just because you're out there committing adultery, don't think that it's two of you guys. You're one. For two saith, he shall be one flesh. So if you're out there whoring, you join to that. You join to that. The same picture as a marriage. It's no difference. Why people say, man, dude, why you harping on marriage like that all the time? Because if you're out there whoring around, then you're a whore. If you whoring around, if your mama whoring around, if your daddy whoring around, you and them are whores. Clear. Dude, man, that's my mama. And what? Man, that's my dad. And what? Well, man, I'm not really, I can have two wives. David had, you a whore. What is joined to a harlot is a harlot. You're going to sit there and go screw around with a harlot, but then you're going to call her a harlot and you clean. I just might well call you boo-boo. The same picture with a marriage. Let's look at this. Let's just get some understanding here. Get some understanding and see where I'm coming from. Why I'm even saying it in that way. We're going to look at Genesis chapter 2. Look at verse 24. Same thing what he said here. He made this covenant with God then. And we're going to see it in Genesis chapter 2, verse 24. It says this, and makes it perfectly clear to us. And he said this, for that reason shall a man leave his father and his mother, and shall cleave unto his wife, including they shall be one flesh. One flesh. One. But it gets better. Let's look at it a little bit more. Let's go over here to Matthew. I'm going to show you something with Matthew. We're going to look at the old. We're going to go over to the new. See if anything go change up. You got fools out there telling you he changed. But again, people sit under that kind of junk. In Matthew chapter 19, picking up at verse 6, it says, wherefore they are no more twain. It's no more two when you clicked up whatever you clicked up with. But one flesh. It's telling you, what therefore God had joined together, let no man put asunder. You can't separate it. If we live under Christ, we joined unto Christ. If we die unto Christ, we die unto Christ. Actually, let me show you. So nobody won't be tripping anywhere. We need to see this all together. In Romans chapter 7, verse 4. Romans 7:4. It says, wherefore, my brethren, ye also are become dead unto the law by the body of Christ, that we should be married to another, even him who raised from the dead, that we should bring forth fruit unto God. So we clicked under Christ. Some of us are. I ain't saying every. Some of us are. Not all. Some of us are. But let's look at this in verse 8. It says, whether we live unto the Creator. That's how we should be doing. Because we supposed to call ourselves, we click to him. And it says, whether we die unto the Creator. Because you die unto Christ. It says, whether we live, therefore, or die, we are the Lord's. No matter what, we are the Creator. No matter what happened, we belong to him. Not separating anything. Not separating nothing. Nothing. So this way, we can't separate ourselves under Christ because we have to live under Christ in the same way he told you right up front. But the servant in Christ is servant of his own house. He lived unto himself and he built a house in heaven. Actually, let me show you what he's talking about. A lot of this stuff, I just want to make sure when I say something, I don't want you to think I'm pulling stuff out of the air. So we're going to look at this in John chapter 17, in verse 9. 17:9, it says that he says, I pray for them. I pray not for the world, but for them thou hast given me, for they are thine. So he's not praying, try to get you to live to themselves, but ones given unto Christ is the ones you should be praying for. That's what he's talking about right here, making this clear. Making it clear. Actually, I want to tell you what, let's put some more there so we can't get away from it. We're going to look at Luke. I want to show you something in Luke. Luke chapter 11, picking it up at verse 2. It says this, and he said unto them, when ye pray, say, for them, not for everyone, for them, our Father which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, as in heaven, so in earth. Because the ones you're giving is for them. So the kingdom of God is within you because he's in you. I'm telling you. We can't get out our own way when we want to play this little game. In fact, let me show you what I'm talking about. Let me show you what I'm talking about here. In Luke chapter 17, verse 21, again, he makes this emphatically clear about this. Watch this. He says, neither shall we say, lo here or lo there. For remember, the kingdom of God is within you. I be in you, you in me, he in you, and I in him. So we live, we're going to live both to Christ. We die unto Christ. So when this body die, God takes back what's his, and he sit there in the flesh, going to stay in the ground from which it came from. Because he said, when I come here, and if you clicked up with me, I need that body to where I can tell the other ones what they need to do to get back where they need to do. And when you're done, you're going to let that flesh go back where it came from, and I'm going to take you back from where you came from. I'm telling you, boy, we can't get out our own way. Let's look at this. Let's look at it, because just like I said, I don't want nobody to sit there, well, I don't know where you're getting this stuff, because I'm going to show it to you. Either way, show it to you. So we can't sit there and say anything. And let me pull this up 1 second. Right there, Ecclesiastes chapter 12. We're going to look at verse 7. He's saying this clear. It's saying this right here. It says, then shall the dust return to the earth as it was. That's why you think we're going in the ground. Why you think we go in the ground? It's going to return to where as it was. And it says, including the spirit shall return to God who gave it. He's going to do the separating. He is going to do all the separating. But we trying to click up to something else. We trying to click up to things we don't have no business clicking to. As it says right there up front, when we first looked at it, it's telling you again, this is just a reminder, just a friendly reminder. We're going to look at it, just a friendly reminder in 1 Corinthians chapter 3, verse 16. Just a friendly reminder. It says, know ye not that ye are the temple of God and that the Spirit of God dwelleth in you? Just a friendly reminder. Just a friendly reminder. So many of us don't know, but now you know. We're the temples of God, and those that worship him must worship him in that. Same as he said this. Making sure this is all clear. We're going to go back over here. We're going to look at John again. We're going to go to John. I want to hold that one there because we're going to go to John over there. We're going to go to John again. We're going to look at something. We're going to go to John 14. Excuse me. We're going to look at verse 2. It says, in my Father's house are many mansions. If it were not so, I would have told you. I go and prepare a place for you. He's preparing a brick, one of the stones. You one of the stones of the house. I'm going to prepare a spot for you. I don't know what spot you're going to be on, but I went to go prepare a place for you. I don't know what brick you're going to be, in what place you're going to be at, but this place has many different bricks in many different mansions, because every brick is a living stone. Actually, let me show you. He already says it's already done. So we got to go to Uncle Idris and get some information off of Uncle Idris. Uncle Idris said this in Uncle Idris chapter 2. We're going to look at verse 13 because he's telling us right up front what's going on. He says, go, including ye shall receive. Pray. Yahushua tells you this all day. Pray for a few days unto you. He said, Yahushua pray that the days be shortened for your sakes. Again, we got fools out there teach contrary to what this dude is saying. But he says this. He says that they may be shortened. Exactly where do you think Yahushua got that from? Because he tell you it's written. But that's beside the point. It says the kingdom is already prepared for you. Watch. It's already prepared, and most people don't know it's already ready. How many people that you think done died before you that is sealed for the kingdom? It's already prepared. Already prepared. But Christ was a servant over his own body, so where he could not boast, but we done got in this body and we want to boast. And what we need to be doing is listening to the voice. Actually, let's look at this. In verse 7, it says, wherefore, comparing the Holy Ghost saith, today, if ye will hear his voice. We can't get out our own way. I'm telling you, you can't make this up. You cannot make this stuff up. If you will hear his voice, but we can't get out the way. And he says this in verse 8. Harden not your hearts. No, I'm circumcised. No, okay, again. Harden not your heart, but I'm circumcised. Okay, again. Harden not your heart because your heart has to be circumcised. No, I'm circumcised. Is your heart circumcised? No, I'm circumcised in the flesh. Okay, we're not saying that. The Bible not saying that. Harden not your heart as in provocation in the day of temptation in the wilderness. So provocation, actually, provocation is telling you right there. Provocation. Same thing. In rebel, in what you talking about, when people rebel, that's what this talking about. You'll be offended. Harden not your hearts as the provocation, as the provoked, as the offended in the days of temptation in the wilderness. So most people don't even know what wilderness actually means. And now most people know what it spiritually means who has a dictionary, but we need to understand just foundationally what it's really just saying. And it's saying without or forsaken. So the day of temptation in the wilderness, in the forsaken, is all it's telling you. Because many of us in the wilderness will be forsaken because we decide we want to stay there. So we need to think on this. We need to really hold on to what this is actually talking about. Because many of us, thinking we can do these things to ourselves, and we cannot. So with that, we're going to end here. we're going to end it there. And then what we're going to do, we're going to go in the other area. We're going to go in the Zoom area where we'll get the summary, which you can see right down in the description of everything, all the writing. You'll see it says join the summary meeting, and we'll get a summary of everything that's going on. So with that, we'll be picking up tomorrow on Proverbs, and we'll be going through the book of Proverbs to see what's going on there, to get some wisdom there, to get some more understanding on what we need to do with thus said the Lord. And we need to know these things because that's where the importance is. Most of us thinking we can live unto ourselves, we can do things to ourselves, and we cannot. So hopefully that you guys can come in the back, you can join us. And if you like to, you're more than welcome. You join us tomorrow for Proverbs. We'll be right here. We're going to go through Proverbs. And what we're doing on Proverbs, we're doing an etymology study on that to where you're getting more and more wisdom from there. But we're finding out more on what he's saying in these pieces to where we're getting a full understanding on what he's telling us on what we need to do. Because many of us, we have sat there and we done lived them to ourselves. Now we know. Now we know. But once you know, what are you going to do about it? Once you know, what are you going to do about it? So hopefully that each and every one of you guys continue to look forward to going through your books and understanding what's happening. But until then, I'll be joining everybody with the back. But until then, I say to each and every person, until next time, I say to everyone, shalom.